This is a throwback. Hey you, welcome to Black Travel Podcast. If you're listening to this particular recording, this is part of my throwback season. It means that it was recorded before my official launch date. It may not have the exact format as a regular episode, or maybe the travel news is a little outdated, but don't worry, it's still interesting and fun and funny and all those things that you want in a Black Travel Podcast.
We've been cleared for takeoff.
This is Cherie B. I thank you for listening, and without further ado, enjoy. Hey, what's poppin', Sugar Plums? I wanted to do a quick review of the New York Times travel show and conference this past January. It was an amazing show, and it was actually my second time attending the travel show in New York City, but my first time attending the travel conference, which was on the first day of the travel show and actually opened the travel show. So this was an exciting year. You know, it's at the Javits Center, which is a huge convention center in Manhattan. You show up, you get your badge, everyone's all excited. It's a mix of travel industry professionals, everyone from travel agents to members of the media to people representing travel boards. And, you know, everything is well done. This is by the New York Times, so, you know, everything is printed and nice typography, and there's directions, there's staff. For the most part, the sessions that I attended, and mind you, I didn't attend everything, but the sessions related to travel branding, travel blogging. I went to a couple sessions that sort of the topics kind of overlapped. They were informative. I felt a little like sometimes, I don't know how to say this politely, some of the information felt a little antiquated, but that could be my ignorance because I am such a tech savvy or tech enthusiast in the millennial space that I don't have as much familiarity with printed travel guides and digital magazines. Now, email lists, yes, that is a must for any business. That's kind of like the silent, okay, how can I say this? So like when you post things on social media, everybody sees your likes, everybody sees who comments. Nobody knows the feedback you get from your mailing list, and nobody knows the outreach but you. So yes, that's super important. There were a couple of panelists in different workshops stressing the importance of podcasting and Instagram, and all that is true. And I kept hearing, you've got a recording studio right in your pocket with your iPhone or your smartphone. Yes, that's also true. But sometimes I was missing the answer to what's next. And the only thing I could gather as far as travel marketing was concerned that really stood out to me was voice search. So the Alexas and the Amazon Echo and all of that seems like that's really being integrated into everyone's daily lives, and that's going to continue to advance. But social media continues to be king or queen. Hey, what else? So the session I went to on the Focus on Africa was amazing. I wish that it was more well attended. It's not that it wasn't well attended. I just wish I just wish the room was a little more packed. There were more people of color in that room, but it was a good mix of people. And my favorite part was Worldwide Nate, who is a brother who is an extreme adventurist and traveler. He just got back from a 7-country tour in Africa, and he said he experienced every weather condition from sleeping on top of a volcano and staring down at a lava lake. 2 of the lava lakes in the world, he said, 2 out of 5 exist in Africa. They lay right there on the motherland. And then he also went ice climbing in Africa. And he was like, did y'all hear me? I went ice climbing in Africa, which is pretty fantastic. And he said as he traveled from country to country, it was pretty flawless. He never had any issues with getting around. He did notice that from one country to another, there seemed to be, like, not everyone knew where Lesotho was. And that kind of surprised him. Not everyone could recognize where even blankets that he wore on his body, what country they were from. So there was a little bit of a disconnect between countries, but that's okay. Not everybody in the States knows what goes on from state to state, so we have to teach each other. I think he said he slept or he laid his head against the belly of a rhinoceros, and that was incredible because they're descendants of the dinosaurs, and he got to help with, I believe, a medical transport. I don't want to make that up, but it was just fascinating listening to him talk about how excited he was about Africa. One thing that I thought was really poignant was that as he was researching on where to go, he couldn't find a lot of information in English. Okay, so for example, he said when he was trying to go to Madagascar, he couldn't find enough current reviews of what Madagascar was like in English. He found something in French and he found something in another language. But he was urging us, as we continue to travel, we need to document our stories in the written form so that others can follow, and we can kind of have this discourse on our travel journeys. We saw a clip of his new TV show, and it looked really exciting. And then when we got to the Q&A, I could sense that there's this fear of the other in terms of Africa with some of the people in the room. For example, fears about safety. Now, let's be honest. A 55-year-old, super frail white woman who is not used to being around or not used to being in a majority Black country and is from the States may have a particular perspective on safety compared to Worldwide Nate, who is from Chicago. Let's keep it real. And is a very fit man. Looks like he can kick your ass. But still, there seemed to be this fear of the other, and I felt like Nate really did a great job of letting everyone know Africa's cool. Africa's clean. He said that Rwanda was one of the cleanest countries he's been to, especially Kigali. Then someone said, oh, the infrastructure's so bad, and I was trying to catch this flight to Madagascar from another country, and my flight was canceled, and no one told me. And when I said, when's the flight going to be rescheduled, they said, we have no idea, but we'll let you know when we know. Until then, we have no information, and have a good day. And she was so frustrated, and she thought, oh, this country, it's just so poor, and that's a problem with Africa. And someone yelled out, well, that thing happened to me in Costa Rica. And someone else yelled out, oh, that happened to me such and such a place. And it just happens. It just sounds like it just happens. And Nate was like, sometimes you have to go with the flow, and that's kind of the beauty of being where you are. And so I thought it was a really informative session, and it was great because last year when I went to the travel show, I got a little frustrated. You walk through the travel show, which is basically a giant room where every tourism board or country or city, cruise line, hotel line, they all have their booth. And you go through the different sections, and you go through Europe, and you see the food and the music and the landscapes and the wine. And you go to Asia, and you see amazing fashion and tradition, and also food and traditional instruments. And it's beautiful. It's whimsical. And then you get to Africa, and it's all about gorillas and endangered species. And you're like, where's the people? Where's the culture? Where's the emphasis on getting to know the locals? I was missing that. So it was nice for Nate to put a face on Africa, if you will, for the people that kind of don't have the information and are curious and or scared. So that was cool. Then we got to lunchtime. So I'm sitting at lunch, and I happen to sit next to a member of the press, and I won't say who this person is or what publication they work for, but let's just say that I was starting to tell them, hey, I'm launching this travel podcast, and I'm really focusing on Black millennials of color who are traveling for vacation, but also, are thinking about living abroad or have been living abroad, and what their experiences are like with race and identity. And, other people at our table were overhearing our conversation, and some of them were uncomfortable visibly, which I expected when I started this podcast. A lot of people don't understand it. And then when I start to explain, hey, sometimes we have a very nuanced experience. And as someone who has traveled out of the country and lived outside of the country and has gone with, let me keep it real, has traveled with white Americans, young white Americans specifically, I could see firsthand more than once. Sometimes we just have different experiences based on the way we look. Now, it doesn't always have to be that deep. It doesn't always have to be divisive. Sometimes it's just simple, like, what is a sunscreen that won't have me looking like a ghost? Maybe that's something you don't think about, but it's something I think about. Where can I get my hair braided in Nairobi, and how can I negotiate them down? What's the best way to do it? I may not be able to ask my white sisters or my white brothers. They may not know, but my sister or my brother might know. My black ones or my, Afro-Latino ones or African brothers and sisters, they might know. If I'm in the middle of China or Hungary, where can I go to find clothes that fit my curvy frame? Is it even possible? Those are some things that I think about. Or like, where's a dope R&B lounge in Hong Kong? Who can give me that information? And also, safety for our bodies mean different things depending on who we are and where we are. And I need to know, where is a safe place for me to work, raise my family, live, hang out. It's helpful to know. It's helpful for us to talk to each other. It's helpful for us to share our experiences. And also, there's not enough representation of us in the travel industry, in travel media. And when I say that, to use this conference as an example, and this conference is not the travel industry, okay? But even in this conference itself, I can't say more than 15 to 20% of the attendees were people of color. And there's nothing wrong with that. Look, the people that make up the industry and the people that attend the conference on their own, maybe that was just this year, but it just felt like we were very much a minority, and it is what it is. There could be a number of factors for that. So that is, I'm not blaming anybody, but what the reporter said to me when we finished discussing all of this was so very much the reason why I started this podcast. They sat back and they said, you know what? After a long pause, I guess we're not even thinking of you all, and maybe that's your whole point. And I was like, exactly. Because they said, 10 years ago, LGBT travel, no shade, love my LGBT community folks. 10 years ago, LGBT travel was not on anyone's radar. And now it's commonplace. It's a common money-making part of our business. So of course there's going to be an LGBT session. Of course there's going to be attention to LGBT booths. Of course LGBT folks are going to be involved in the planning, or LGBT travel businesses, I should say, are involved in the planning. But you may represent a segment that we really haven't delved into as an industry yet on a larger scale. And I was like, exactly. That is my point. So I felt great about that. And it's so important because you may think like, okay, when we travel, you're going on a vacation and you think about all the money you're spending when you get to your destination. But truly, one person traveling is touching so many businesses from the time they decide to go and when they start packing and shopping to pack, shopping for what they need, and then getting there when they're on the ground, things that they're buying for their friends and family back home, then traveling back, and then once they're back at their destination. You spend so much money between the travel goods and the luggage and the neck pillows and the books and the airport food and the clothes and swimsuits and the flip-flops and everything, the hotel, car service, cabs, trains, you name it. We are spending money. We are consumers, and we're spending so much money, but I'm not seeing enough of us. I'm not seeing enough of us, and that's okay, because at least we're here. I saw a lot of young Black professionals representing young Black travel brands, and I was proud to see that. I feel like we're not the first, but we're definitely pioneers in this era of the travel industry's evolution. Okay, cool. So now we get to my favorite panel, which was about millennial travel. And this is really interesting because a lot of the people that are kind of running the travel industry, I don't know if they totally understand millennials yet. And I think that's just a generational divide. And it's something that I'm frankly used to when I go to branding seminars or marketing seminars. If they're just run by people who, run these top corporations and these big name brands, and their focus is not on millennials, they're a little bit conservative and a little bit old school and a little bit more corporate. Whereas millennials, we kind of have a different set of rules. We look at things completely differently. And unless you study millennials, you don't really know how to market to them. You don't really know how to get dollars from them, to be specific. They had some great panels about the millennials. And then afterwards, we broke up into groups. And the things that really stuck out to me is millennials love experiences. They love sharing their experiences. And that is what really drives them. They want to live life for today. And also millennials are getting older. They're not just young kids who they have so many things they want to do, and they're interested in so many causes, and they're quote unquote unfocused to the older generations, or they don't value hard work, which is so not true. Millennials are older now, so they have families, they're married, a lot of them. So there's that. And then there is not a lot of separation between work and social life for millennials because we're always on our phones. We're always in front of a screen. So sometimes the boundaries can get kind of crossed, or we can cross it ourselves because we don't know when to shut it off. And then one really great example is from a travel agent. She was like, I just don't understand millennials because someone was trying to book this 10-day trip to Patagonia, and I don't know where the departure point was. But she was like, you can't do it in 10 days. It's going to take you 3 days to get there. You're going to be jet lagged. Then you only have like a day and a half to do the hiking you want to do. And then you got to wrap up. And then you got 3 days to get back. And it's just not possible. I don't remember all that was involved in the trip, but this person wanted an action-packed trip. And she was like, I kept telling them no, no, no. And they kept fighting me like, yes, yes, yes. And by the time I got convinced to book the trip, they said, thank you, but no thank you. We found a better deal online. And she felt offended because she was like, why did you come to me? I'm a travel agent. I'm supposed to find your best deal. You used me and you found a better deal elsewhere. And I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I swear it was something like a Groupon deal or something like that. Okay, so one thing is, yes, you better believe we are always researching for the best deal. We are always doing our research all the time. We're looking at reviews. We're asking our friends. We're using our networks. We're reading articles. We're doing whatever we got to do, looking at Reddit to find how can I get the most for the least. And then 2, that 10-day trip, if we can get those pictures and have the most amazing time for 3 days, it's cool. We'll sleep on the plane or we'll just not sleep. We want that experience and we'll do whatever we can in a short amount of time. And that's it. Someone within the panel, within that group session, was a millennial. And she was like, yeah, I went to Australia for 3 days and it was completely worth it to me. I was completely exhausted, but I had the time of my life. And that's because I only had a short amount of time and it was completely worth it. And my friends got their life from my pictures and my videos. That's it, So that was really interesting. After that, I perused around. All in all, the conference was fantastic. I enjoyed it, but I do want to challenge the folks over at the New York Times. Please embrace or really start to look more seriously at the Black millennial dollar. We're here. We want to contribute. We have unique experiences. We have different things that we look for. We have new ideas. Use us, represent us, listen to us, and let's revolutionize this industry together. Not only are we spending money, but we are creating businesses of our own. We are part of a larger movement in so many ways. We represent intersectionality in so many ways. We want to be a part of your brand. We want to show you how we travel. So with that being said, I will be back. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I definitely enjoyed it. There were a lot of things that I learned, a lot of eye-openers. Oh, before I forget, one thing is during the keynote, they were talking about how, Trump affects everything in terms of travel, because every time we're talking about putting walls up, or you want to call countries shithole countries, which is completely absurd, or there's a nuclear threat, or you're threatening other countries, or there's travel bans on different countries and they're lifting it. All this stuff affects tourism. And there is a term called Trump slump, because tourism is kind of slowing down in America. And Americans are kind of slowing down in terms of going to other countries, except for Europe. Europe is still banging. Europe is still doing very well. But there is a definite effect on tourism because of the president of the United States, or who sits in the office of the president right now. But they were saying, just go. Even if something has a travel ban, if from your research you're seeing that other tourists are going and you feel comfortable, just go. Just go. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be okay. Now, I'm not saying that someone in particular said that, but that was the impression that I got from the panelists. You gonna be all right. And they also said that countries such as Jamaica have had travel warnings before, but it's not something that tourists ever realized until news of other travel bans came about to be in the media. So they were like, but Jamaica's still a popular destination. So if you feel comfortable, you got the money, you got the time, go get your life. Okay. The travel show itself was opened by the New York Times and also Turkish Airlines, which was the main sponsor. They had a nice cutting of the ribbon ceremony, and then I started to walk around the travel show itself and looked at all the different booths. A lot more lively and personable, I should say, than it was last year. I felt like people were more engaging and it was less distance this year. I don't know how to explain it. Almost like less iPads and tech. More smiles and how you doing, and let me bring you over and tell you about my country. Without further ado, I'm going to play the audio from the different interviews I made walking around. I spoke to a lot of different countries. I spoke to Portugal. I spoke to Russia. I spoke to Bangladesh. I spoke to Bhutan and Tanzania and Bahamas. So thank you, New York Times. I'll be back. I'm here to support, and enjoy. Oh yeah, let me just say, this should go without saying, but the opinions expressed in this review of the New York Times travel show and travel show conference are solely my own. They don't express the views or opinions of any of the guests that I interviewed on this here episode. Everyone I met was lovely, and I'm sure they had their own experiences. I am just one woman with one opinion on this one podcast. And if you have a different opinion or there was something that I missed, please hit me up on social media. I would like to know, because some of the sessions were overlapping and I may have missed something. I did not go to everything all weekend. So if you have a favorite memory from the New York Times travel show, or if there's any other travel shows that you want me to hit up and review, hit me on social media at Black Travel Podcast on Instagram and at Black Travel Pod on Twitter. All right, back to the interviews. All right, so now I'm joined with
Mikala Moss with the Bahamas Tourist Office, Tourist Authority.
Fantastic. And the question of the day is, why is it better in the Bahamas?
Oh, Cherie, that's a 700-island question, to be very honest with you. The Bahamas is an archipelago with 700 islands and 2,000 keys. So it's better because there's so many unique experiences for any visitor to have of any age and any background. We've got the capital city, which is Nassau, the island of New Providence. And because that is the capital, it's the center of everything. It's all of the hustle and bustle. But there are still pockets of very good, quiet and serene areas in Nassau. So you get a little bit of everything. You get almost like our version of Little New York. You get big boutique hotels. You get even bigger 2,000-room hotels, mega hotels. You find properties on the beach. You find properties in the city, even properties on the beach in the city. You've got properties that belong to families that were actually residences of maybe former governors or governor generals in the Bahamas that have been turned into boutique hotels.
That's special.
And then from Nassau, you can get to just about any island by plane or some of them by boat on a daily basis. So if you start in Nassau, you move on to our second city, which we call Grand Bahama Island. It's the second most populated island. And just like Nassau, it has big hotel, it has boutique hotel, but it's on a much smaller scale. The island is 4 times bigger than Nassau, but it's much more spread out. So again, you've got pockets of quiet, serene. You've got pockets of untouched, unspoiled beach. You've got pockets of a little bit of vibrancy, a little bit of nightlife, a little bit of everything that you want to do. And we say in the Bahamas, you have soft adventures. So our eco adventures are things like kayaking through the mangroves. The water is about 3.5 feet deep. Don't worry if you can't swim.
Okay.
Just stand up.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just stand up. That's what I say to everybody that goes on the kayak tour. Just stand up. You don't even have to wet your hair. You'll be fine. It's 3 feet of water.
Right.
You have Jeep safaris in Grand Bahama where you drive your own Jeep. And if you have 4 in your party, then it's just the 4 of you in your Jeep and you're on a convoy with 12 other Jeepers with a guide in the front and a guide in the back. They take you off-roading out to the western and eastern part of the island so that you drive yourself out into beautiful peninsulas and vistas that you never would see if you were on your own.
That's awesome, but it's still guided.
But it's still guided.
And
and you got another 5 groups in the front and 5 people in the back, so you make your own community of people. If you're not an avid active person like I am not, and you want to bicycle but you don't want to pedal, we have motorized bicycles. So you literally don't have to pedal, just stare. Just stare. I mean, we make it so easy for you.
Right.
But if you're more active, you can kite surf, you can windsurf, you can dive our blue holes. A blue hole is an open water cavern in the middle of land, so it's not on the beach. And you can dive the caverns. Only God knows where the water comes from and only God knows where the water goes to.
Right.
But it's a beautiful experience if you're interested in doing something a little outside of your comfort zone. You can swim with dolphins, captive dolphins and wild dolphins.
Wow.
You can swim with sharks. You can swim with stingrays, wild stingrays. So a lot of things that you do in the Bahamas while other countries also have them. It's a little bit more unique because we're so small and so many islands. You can island hop very easily and you're doing things that are really out in nature. It's not on a hotel property inside some compound with gates as tall as Fort Knox. You're really out in the community with our visitors, with our locals, with our residents. Each island has a fish fry, and fish fry is a nice cultural activity.
Yes.
And anybody from the South will know about a good fish fry. Fish with the head and the tail on it, and the eyes are
that. Wait a minute.
It's
I know they say the head is the best part.
Fish. I eat around the eye. Don't tell my family. But it's a little bit of everything. And the food in the Bahamas, oh my gosh. Again, that kind of Southern comfort feeling, stick to your ribs kind of food. Doesn't matter if it's escabeche or if it's raw or if it's cooked or if it's deep fried. We do a lot of deep fried. The delicacy in the Bahamas is conch. And if you guys have seen it written C-O-N-C-H, but it's spelled with like a K on the front and a K on the back.
Okay.
Conch.
Okay.
And I've been in the Bahamas, you'll be considered a true Bahamian if you say to somebody that messes with you, that aggravates you, I'm gonna conch you in your head.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Then a little Bahamian colloquialism for you. And if you conch them with a conch salad or a conch shell, those are fighting words.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Those are fighting words.
When would you say is the best time of the year to go? Because I think people have this perception of the Caribbean that it's always sunny or it's always the same. But I'm sure there's busy seasons. I'm sure there's a little bit of rain or cold or of a chill, I should say.
There is little variation. I mean, it's mostly always summer and spring. But there is a little variation with the Bahamas being in the northern part of the Caribbean. We're technically just north of the Caribbean Sea. We're in the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay.
So the weather is the same as South Florida, same as Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and Miami. If they're having nor'easter come down from Canada and it hits Florida, it's going to hit the northern Bahamas. So in January and February, you want to go into the southern Bahamas. That would be like Exuma or Eleuthera or Long Island. We have Long Island, Bahamas. I know they got Long Island, New York. So we make you feel comfortable. Okay. In the springtime and early summer, you want to stay in the central or northern Bahamas. So that would be Nassau. That would be Grand Bahama. And I haven't mentioned some of the other islands like Abaco and Bimini and Andros. If your visitors are avid scuba divers and expert scuba divers, we have the 3rd largest barrier reef in the world just off the coast of Andros in the Bahamas. So again, there's things for everybody to do. You're not just going to sit on the beach and do nothing. Even if that's just what you want to do, you're going to sit on the beach with a conch and kalik. That's a Bahamian snack. So you're not going to do the KFC snack. You go conch, which is, like I said, our delicacy. Conch salad usually. So it's raw. It's cut up with onions, peppers, bell peppers, tomatoes, and hot pepper, goat pepper, Scotch bonnet pepper. Okay. Lots of lime. So it's like an escabeche. Okay. So succulent and delicious. Okay. And you have a kalik. Kalik is the Bahamian bear of the Bahamas. And it makes the same sound that the cowbells make when we have our Junkanoo festival, which is our version of carnival. The cowbells go kalik, 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 kalik.
Now, Junkanoo, am I saying that correctly?
Junkanoo.
Junkanoo. Yes. And it's different from carnival how?
Very different because the music is live. It's all played by band. You have goatskin drums or cowskin drums. You've got brass sections, so the horns and the tubas. And then you've got some woodwind instruments, I guess, nowadays, but mostly whistles. And you have cowbells. So at about 1 o'clock in the morning in Nassau, you hear the boom of the goatskin drum. And it's such a rhythmic, what's the word? It's in your soul. It's something back from African times. You feel this sense of belonging when you're sitting in the crowd, because it's not participatory, it is a parade. You're sitting in the crowd in the stands, you just hear this boom, 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 boom. And as the drums swell, then the horns come in and the whistles come in and the cowbells come in, and then you see the parade, and all the masqueraders' costumes are actually built out of cardboard boxes.
Wow.
With paper taped around in feathers and kind of layers. They've added feathers, they've added glitter, they've added sequins, they've added all kinds of extra things, but each costume is carried by a human. Nothing is motorized.
Wow.
So when you see costumes that are a story high and 20 feet long, there are 2 or 3 people under there actually lifting that costume to move it down the street. And some of the costumes are horses and carriages. They depict kings and queens. They depict cultural events that have taken place in the Bahamas. Sometimes they depict cultural events that have taken place in the rest of the world. So it's a little bit of anything that you can imagine is out on the parade on Christmas, the day after Christmas, December 26th, and January 1st.
Wow.
And
but
it's
still
amazing.
holding on to Bahamas cultural traditions.
Old tradition. We believe John Canoe is from a man named John Canoe, a slave, who during the time of their day off, they celebrated their day off from their slave master, and they celebrated by beating the drums, by sharing the food, by telling the stories and sharing their history. And so that's told through the music of John Canoe now that's played on the parade.
Wow, that's fascinating. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
And y'all go check out the Bahamas. It sounds like it's more than what you thought.
It's more than better.
It's more than better. It's better than the Bahamas. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so this brings me to the booth for Bangladesh, and I'm joined with
Tawfiq Rahman. I am Chief Executive of Journey Plus and also the Director for Tour Operators Association of Bangladesh.
Awesome. So for the people that don't know, I mean, I know, but where exactly is Bangladesh?
Bangladesh is located it's the southeast of Asia, it's surrounded by India in 3 sides and 1 little strip with Myanmar, So before 1947, 3 countries were together, Bangladesh, India and Pakistan, and we got our independence in the year of 1971 from Pakistan, and Bangladesh is an independent country from the last 46 years. So from a tourism point of view, Bangladesh has a lot of potentiality regarding the tourism. If you're talking about the tiger, everybody thinks it's an Indian tiger, but it's a Bengal tiger.
Nice. Okay.
The name of the forest is Sundarban, which is almost 10,000 square kilometer. Out of 10,000, 6,017. Almost 63% area belongs to Bangladesh. So in Bangladesh part, there is more chance to see the tiger habitat, thousands of deers, more than 200 different types of birds. So for the nature lovers, wild tracking, is a perfect place. Then in Bangladesh, there is another place is called Cox's Bazar, which is actually the longest sea beach in the world. Nobody knows this. Bangladesh got the longest sea beach in the world. It is 120 kilometer unbroken white sandy beach. So you can drive through 120 kilometers. Then we have a coral island. It's called St. Martin Island, And then if you're talking about the archaeology, heritage and culture, Bangladesh is very rich for archaeology, heritage and culture, Now in Bangladesh, we have a Muslims are majority, but before Muslims, we had a Hindus, and before Hindus, we had a Buddhism. Buddhism came to Bangladesh 7th centuries to 11th centuries. So in Bangladesh, still we have the Buddhist monastery. We got the single largest Buddhist monastery in the world. Based in Bangladesh, the northern part of Bangladesh. So if we're talking about the archaeology, old terracotta temple, Shiva temple, archaeological sites, cultural sites, everything is the northern part of Bangladesh. Then, in Assam, in India, it's famous for tea. And we have one place is called Sylhet, which was actually a part of Assam. So we have tea plantations and tea gardens, more than 300 different types of small and big tea plantations and tea gardens based in Bangladesh. Then we have more than 43 different types of tribal community. The tribal people, they have their own culture, own habit, own food, own costume, So it is also one of the attractions for Bangladesh. Apart from these, we have 2 big rivers in the world. One is the Brahmaputra, coming from Indian side, from Himalaya, Coming to Bangladesh is called Jamuna, and another river is called Ganges in India. Enter to Bangladesh is called Padma, and these 2 rivers mix. One point is called the Meghna, which is the 3rd longest river in the world after Amazon and Congo.
Wow.
So that is Bangladesh, you know. And I'm talking about that if you are really want to see the people, people actually our strength. We got the most smiling people in the world.
Oh,
you
is
know.
that
Yeah, if you go
correct?
to Bangladesh, especially in the village side, you know, some people, you know, will touch you to see that whether you're from some other planet or heaven or something like this. So people actually are really
Spiritual,
it's not
it sounds
spiritual
like.
sides, yeah, and they are not. I can say this. They are not commercial at all, you know, because tourism is not so spread in Bangladesh like India or Nepal or Bhutan. They are very much habituated, you know. So if you're talking about that, which is the main attractive product for Bangladesh, I'll say that the hospitable people of Bangladesh, the smiling people of Bangladesh, the local people of Bangladesh. So that is our actually main strength. So I can tell you that apart from ice and desert, everything you will get in Bangladesh.
Nice. And when's the best time of the year to visit?
From October until March. That is the best season. That is our winter, and you will like it because in US, say in Bangladesh at this moment we have the lowest temperature is 9 or 10 degrees centigrade. I don't know about Fahrenheit how much it is, you know,
Okay.
and the maximum is 25 to 30. So it's very mild for us, you know. So that is the good time for you know, because in US you have so many, you know, it's a cold weather, so you can easily go and visit
Okay.
Bangladesh.
And here's my real question. Do you have any food that's not insanely spicy?
Well, it depends on. Usually, the Indian subcontinent, you know, they prefer the hot, spicy food, you know. But whenever we have the Europeans or the Americans, you know, so we'll take care for this mild food and so on. But I can tell you one thing: our food and Indian food, though everybody thinks that it's pretty similar, but our food is not so spicy like in India. You know,
Okay.
that is bit mild. I can tell you, you know, but we can easily customize, no problem.
Of course. Okay. Thank you so much for
My
your
pleasure.
time.
Thank you very much.
And Bangladesh, old civilization, new nation. I love it. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And now we've moved over to Europe. We have left the Caribbean, we have left Asia, and this brings me to Portugal. And I'm joined today with
Sara.
hello.
Hello.
Sada, is that S-A-D-A?
S-A-R-A.
S-A, Sada. Oh, Sarah. Sada.
Sarah without the H.
Sada,
Yes.
pronounced the proper way, the
Yeah.
Portuguese way.
Thank you.
Just kidding.
Thank you.
So most people, when they think of Portugal, they think of the capital city.
Mhm.
But
Lisbon.
you're actually Lisbon, but you are actually here promoting Sintra,
Sintra,
Portugal. So what makes Sintra special?
Okay, Sintra is a World Heritage Site, cultural landscape. It's unique because in a small place, it's quite small, you can find a variety of monuments and from different ages. It can go from the 8th century with the Moorish castle from the Moorish ages to the 19th century with that fairy tale palace, which is like Disneyland, but in the real world.
Okay.
It's a really beautiful palace. And you also have a big coast, nice beaches, nice food, even better, nice wine.
Yes.
So
What kind of wine, though?
we have more red wine.
Yes. Okay.
red
My
wine.
kind of girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. we have also green wine. It's a different kind of wine. We have red, white, and green wine in the north of Portugal. It's really nice.
Wow. Okay.
If you have your people would like to know good wine, and the green wine, it's really good. It's on the north of Portugal.
Now, how easy is it to travel to Sintra?
To Sintra. Okay, it's really easy. You have direct flights from New York to Lisbon, and if you don't like to rent a car, you can go by train. It's about 40 minutes by train.
Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a direct, and it's the last station is Sintra. It's
So
really easy.
Where do you suggest tourists stay? Is it Airbnb or hotels or host families?
I would say if you like nightlife, I would suggest to stay in Lisbon because it has an amazing nightlife. If you are traveling with your family or if you want to relax, I would suggest more Sintra area next
Okay.
to the beach. Yeah.
How's the weather?
Weather is nice. Usually in Sintra, it's more cold because we are next to the coast. But Sintra in the summer it's really nice. I would say the best time to go for me it's September, October. Usually the autumn it's a nice season to go. But even May and April, but trying to avoid the Eastern holidays because it's more crowded. But May it's a really nice month also to visit Sintra
Nice.
and Lisbon area. Yeah.
And Lisbon. Okay. Yeah. It sounds like you can do
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
in the same
Yeah,
trip
yeah,
back and
yeah.
forth. Okay.
Yeah.
So castles, green wine, mild, beautiful weather,
Yeah.
friendly people.
Friendly people. Yeah.
And sounds like fresh air.
Yeah.
That's great. So
yeah.
make sure that you put Sintra, Portugal on your next
Yeah.
itinerary for Europe. It is, I don't know why it's underrated
Yeah. I
or
think,
lesser known.
yeah, it's true. I think
And
finally.
Portugal in general, why is that?
I don't know because we are a small country. We are close to a bigger one country next to us, which is Spain, that usually takes more attention. But now I think people are starting to know Portugal because we have great culture and a great history. We are independent since almost the beginning of the from 100 years. Yes, 100, no, more than 100.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, don't worry.
And we have our own language, which is Portuguese. Okay, not Spanish.
Right.
And I think people are starting to know Portugal because it's a safe place. At the moment, we don't have terrorist attacks, so it's a nice thing. The people are really friendly. We welcome all kinds of culture, scholars,
Everything.
Sexual.
Hey,
yeah, everything.
The whole party. Okay.
Yeah, it's true. We like to receive people well, no matter where they come. They are all welcome in Portugal.
Excellent. Thank you so much
You're
for your
welcome.
time. That was excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, oops. Where'd it go? Hold on. Sorry. I just want to make sure. Okay. All right. So now I'm moving over to the Middle East, and I am with the Jordan Tourism Board, joined by
Samer Abu Talib.
And what do you think is the biggest misconception of Jordan, or what do tourists expect to see when they come to your country?
Well, misconception is easy. We're in Middle East. A lot of people might paint us all the same brush. They might think, what they hear and see in the news is what is reality. But, you come to Jordan, we're one of the most hospitable people in the world. It's part of our tradition. We value our guests. Most every guest that actually comes that I've seen really feels at home immediately. We feel the warmth of the country, the warmth of the people. We love Americans, especially because we watch movies and we hear the music
Right.
and Hollywood and things like that. But no, any guests we have, that's part of the old Bedouin tradition where we're from. It's just really respecting the elderly, respecting people, respecting your guests, your neighbor before yourself. That's kind of ingrained in us, and it's good for tourism. And it really helps the fact that the way tourism is changing, or travel is changing right now, is people want to have more of that good feeling with new stories for themselves. Meeting people, really not just taking a picture and leaving. They want to get a really nice story, and Jordan is good for that because we love to talk, first of all, and we're just everybody has their own story, and there's so much to see and do in such a small country. We like to call it one of the biggest small countries in the world. So anybody that comes there, they'll really be able to experience a lot of different things, form their own stories. They have so much history in Jordan, so many different empires and civilizations has come through our land, luckily for us. And one of the 7 wonders of the world in Petra, the lowest point on earth, the Dead Sea, where you float on water. And, really it's, at the end of the day, for me as a Jordanian, I'm proud to say that it is the people that really makes the final difference of anybody's trip over there. And you can see it from myjordanjourney.com. It's your Jordan journey. We always talk about, our message is always from Americans and Canadian, North Americans that have visited Jordan and what they think about Jordan. So if you want more information, you can get it from there.
So let's pretend we're in Jordan right now. You're a local.
Yeah.
What do you like to do on a daily basis, or how do you hang out?
Well, I'm from West Amman, so it's kind of like Beverly Hills.
Ooh, okay. I'm hanging out with you.
Unlike what you might expect, but yeah, we have bars, we have our own craft breweries, we make our own wines. Wine again started in the Holy Land and where we're from, so a lot of people are shocked about that. Maybe that's another misperception.
Yeah.
Stated at the beginning, but yeah, we have a very young, energetic population right now that is really into different arts. Street art is even big in Jordan right now. We have different music, different things coming out there. Really, really good restaurants and really nice places to just hang out. Really, we like to spend time with people. Time for us is lunch is not a 45-minute thing. It's literally a 3-4 hour thing.
Okay.
So we love to conversate. We love to hang out. And it's a lot
quality time.
Yeah, it's a lot slower paced than where I live, especially in DC and New York. But it's a happy place. People are very happy, and yeah, that's
a question. So as a tourist, is it easy to make friends and connections? It seems like a very family-oriented atmosphere. What do you think?
It is. I mean, first of all, the language barrier is not a problem because we all speak English. We've all learned it since kids. Arabic is first language, second language is English, and third language is French. So most of us speak those three languages. And so that's number one. And number two, we have all different views of whether it's religion, whether it's how your traditional family, how you're brought up, and things like that. So we all like to talk about it because we don't really have any of that conflict in where we're from. That's why we've been extremely secure and safe, and we don't talk about these things. You might have a person that is very, very religious with a best friend that is not, and we don't talk about that kind of stuff. So it's very easy to get along with people there.
Sounds great. So respect, warmth, friendliness, architecture, tradition. It sounds amazing. Thank you. Yes, so now I'm at the booth for Remarkable Rwanda. Is that the name?
Rwanda, yeah.
Okay,
That is our
hashtag
code.
and @Travel Rwanda. And your name, sir?
Janvier.
Janvier. And you are from Rwanda originally?
I'm from Rwanda.
Dope.
I'm Safari DMC in Rwanda.
Okay, so why should people visit Rwanda?
There are many reasons to visit Rwanda. For example, Rwanda now is the safest country in Africa. If you check reviews, Google, they will show you it's the safest country. Rwanda is the cleanest country in Africa.
Yes, someone else said that during one of the panel sessions on Explore Africa, that Kigali in particular was an extremely clean city.
For sure, that is a true story. And according to adventurers or tourists, in Rwanda is somewhere you can find the big five in one national park, and we add the 6 animal. That is the big 6 gorillas. And Rwanda is a small country. You can travel in Rwanda and make all corners of Rwanda at least in 8 days. Nowhere else you can find this.
Nice. Now, where should they start? What town or city or place?
I can say Kigali.
Kigali.
Yeah, Kigali, capital of Rwanda.
Are you saying Kigali?
You can say Kigali or Kigali.
Kigali.
It is K-I, so depends on how you live.
Got it.
Some people say it's Kigali, others say Kigali.
Okay.
But it is Kigali.
Okay.
Yeah, in our local language.
I think I got it. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Everyone all over the world, you are invited, are welcome to visit Rwanda. You get a visa on arrival. Every people all over the world, you are allowed to get a visa on arrival. There is no need of planning. I will get a visa, this. You just come and
get on a plane and just enjoy. I got you. Well, thank you, Janvier.
You are welcome.
Pleasure meeting you, talking with you
Nice
today.
to meet you.
Go to Rwanda. Go to Kigali. Okay. Peace. Cool. So now I am at the Tanzania Tourist Board booth. Everyone's looking all excited.
My name is Francis Malugu from Tanzania Tourist Board. I'm from the marketing department.
I feel like whenever people talk about Africa and tourism, they focus on the safaris, but they miss out on the culture and the food and the people. So what are most travelers missing out on in Tanzania?
I think mostly we have wildlife, but currently Tanzania, we are going into other niches of tourism. We are currently selling cultural products, the cultural tourism, the people. the food, the lifestyle. We're trying to make people understand the other part of Tanzania because wildlife is just one part of the beauty of Tanzania. There's beach, there's culture, there's everything in Tanzania. The bird watchers, all of them are being welcomed in Tanzania. So Tanzania has got wildlife, but there is more than wildlife, especially the culture, the people, the food, the nightlife, everything.
Would you say Tanzania is safe? Because that's a lot of people's fears, their stereotype, certain parts of Africa.
Tanzania is very safe. You cannot compare with any country in Africa. Tanzania is very safe. Everybody is being welcomed to Tanzania.
I feel like Tanzania is one of the world's overlooked, best kept secrets. It's so beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Very beautiful.
So for a new traveler, where would you recommend they start out first?
Maybe Serengeti is famous, Ngorongoro, Zanzibar beaches, but some other parts of Tanzania are also very beautiful. Parks like Ruaha, like places like Rubondo. There are a lot of places because in Tanzania we've got almost 16 national parks and a lot of game reserves. So we are welcoming everyone to come and visit our beautiful country, Tanzania.
How can we follow you guys?
You can follow us from Wonderful Tanzania on Instagram, and then you can follow us on Facebook at Tanzania Tourism.
Excellent. Thank you. Wonderful meeting you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Let's see who we have next. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much.
Hi.
I'm Cherie. How are you? Thank you. I'm launching a podcast focused on millennials of color who travel. And actually, I wanted to talk to you guys because Poland is actually, despite the news, Poland is actually one of the friendliest countries for African Americans who travel, young people. So I just wanted to kind of get your opinion on the best places to go, general information about why people should visit Poland.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Pleasure.
So I'm at the booth for the Polish National Tourist Office, Polska. Am I saying that correctly?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, cool. So,
Well, first of all, I just want to say that Poland is a friendliest nation to Americans.
okay,
Period.
got
Very
you.
pro-American, very friendly. It's probably one of the one of the few countries in Europe that actually appreciates Americans visiting their country. So
Why is that, do you think?
because probably Poland and America, there's been friends throughout the history. We had Polish generals like General Kościuszko and Pulaski fighting in the American Revolutionary War. So our history dates back centuries. And there's always a sympathy that's shared between Poles and Americans. And I think it just goes way, in history. So it's not a recent thing. But definitely American tourists are very welcome. It also helps if they learn a couple of words in Polish, like proszę, which means please, or dziękuję, like thank you. And that even brings more appreciation that, while Americans know a couple of words in Polish and here to welcome them. When it comes to first places to visit, it's usually Warsaw, simply because Polish Airlines, which is right behind me, they fly directly from Chicago, New York, and from Toronto, Canada. So a couple of days in Warsaw, and then you can take a train down to Krakow, a couple of days in Krakow. So that's pretty much like Poland for beginners. And then if you feel more comfortable, you can travel to different surrounding cities around Poland.
What are some popular foods that especially Western tourists like to eat?
Yes, in Poland, there's two types of food. Those that we would consider, here in States, we consider traditional Polish, which is like pierogies, dumplings, meat, cabbage, potatoes, kind of like soul food of Poland. But right now in Poland, there's a trend of bringing fresh produce, organic produce, from basically straight from market to table. A lot of restaurants are opening and they're mixing a Polish cuisine with different flavors, a lot of oats, game meat. So they mixing and bringing up a little bit of everything. So that's when it comes to food, the Polish food scene, it's huge. Anything from food trucks, little small mom and pop places, to Michelin-star restaurants more so.
Nice. What about the price point? Is it expensive? Is it cheap?
Although Poland is in the European Union, it's not in Eurozone. So we have Polish currency, Polish zloty. The exchange rate at this point, it's probably for $1 you get 3.4 Polish zloty. So the value of a dollar goes a long way. For 3 Polish zloty, you can buy, a bottle of beer in a store. So it's not bad.
Nice. Well, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. See you in Poland.
Yes. All right. So now I'm at the table for Bhutan Norder Adventures. Is that correct? Okay. And your name?
My name is Sonam Punto.
Where exactly is Bhutan?
Bhutan is between China and India. It's just like a sandwich between China and India.
Okay.
But it's one of the happiest country in the world.
It sounds beautiful. And even from the pictures I'm looking at now, it seems like there's a lot of adventure and beautiful people, beautiful land.
Yeah, like a landscape, like spiritual, and then people, happiness, the kids, we are the world largest pocket. Even the kids, they can put the...
Oh yeah, they have these outfits on and they have these huge pockets and they're carrying puppies in them.
Adventures and some historical fortress.
So how is Bhutan with tourism? Is it a popular place, would you say, or is it gaining popularity?
It's a popular, especially for the old age people who want to relax their mind, who want to purify their mind, and who want to really come.
Yeah, I think some of these young professionals definitely would need an escape because places like Bali became popular with movies like Eat, Pray, Love, but Bhutan might be being overlooked.
Yeah, it's really, fantastic views, the sceneries, beauty of the countries with the costumes which we wear in our daily life. For the men, it's called Go, and for the women, it's Kira.
Okay.
That's, represent our country.
Nice. Okay. And for someone that's new to Bhutan, where should they visit first?
They should visit Paro and Thimphu, which is the western part of Bhutan, and central part of Bhutan, eastern part of Bhutan. In Paro, is famous destination is known as the tiger nest. It's believed that one of the masters here flew on the tiger's back and just meditate in that particular place for several years. It's believed that he have converted Buddhism in Bhutan, and today we are followers of the Mahayana Buddhism, which is practiced in Bhutan.
So all y'all folks interested in Eastern religion and beautiful landscapes and adventure and a beautiful oasis to just relax your mind, visit Bhutan.
Yes.
Thank you so much
Most
for your
welcome,
time.
most welcome.
Thank you. All right, cool. So now I'm at the booth for Russia Grand Rus Tours, and I'm with
Natalia Savinova.
Nice. So, Russia's such a huge country. For someone who is not thinking about Russia, what should they not overlook? What are the best things about Russia?
Well, the best thing is to come one day to Russia and to see it with your own eyes, to feel it with your own hands, to taste it, because Russia, it's a really nice country and we are open to people from all over the world. Please come and see. I think to start, it's better to come to Moscow, it's the capital of Russia, and extend to St. Petersburg for the first time.
The thing is, Russia is cold, right?
Yes, it's quite a cold country, but I think we have the similar weather like New York.
Oh, no way, my friend.
But with snow, we have a lot of snow.
And what about music?
Oh, now we have all kind of music. It's all the most popular music you have here, we have over there.
Oh my God, who's that guy that sings ha 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 ha? You know that song? It was a viral video.
Yeah.
He was Russian, right?
Yes.
Okay, he's like a famous pop star. I love that song. Is Russia mostly for sightseeing, architecture? What really draws most tourists to Russia?
Actually, in Russia, we have different kinds of tours. It also depends of what people do they want. Of course, the basic one, it's a cultural tours. To visit museums, architecture, but also we have historical tours, delicious restaurants we also could make.
Nice. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure learning a little bit about Russia, and I hope to visit one day. It always looks beautiful, and ever since Michael Jackson sung that song, Stranger in Moscow, even though he mispronounced it, I've been fascinated. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you. Thank you. So that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in to this recording of Black Travel Podcast, part of the Throwback season. Like, comment, rate, subscribe. We really appreciate your support. You can check us on Instagram at Black Travel Podcast and on Twitter at Black Travel Pod. All right, squad. This is Cherie B. Thank you for listening.
stay fly.